It is 3 o'clock. Welcome to Replenish the Atmosphere of Discovery, where we discover the Master's plan for our lives. So today's session is called Getting There. Today's session is called Getting There. So, are you there yet? Where am I supposed to be, you might ask, right? Are you at the place that you feel you should be mentally, physically, emotionally, financially? Right? There is a fixed position, right, that you should be. There's a fixed place that you should be physically. There's a fixed place that you should be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? This position is a point that you reach. You can make a plan to get there. You could just end up anywhere. So wherever you're there is, I'm asking you, have you reached it? Sometimes you never get there because you're there is constantly changing according to your mood and your feelings. Sometimes you never get there because it changes according to other people's opinions. Sometimes it changes according to your fears, according to everything else except your innate drive within. Okay. The natural drive you are born with draws you towards your destiny, towards your there. Okay. Everything else attempts to pull you away, but your there should be your predetermined destination, the place you were created to find, to establish, and to cultivate. Okay. This place should prepare the generations after you to succeed. That's where your there is. Your there is where your purpose has been fulfilled. Oftentimes, our experiences overrule that natural desire to fulfill our created purpose. Naturally, you are drawn towards your created purpose, right? If nothing happens that tries to draw you away, naturally, you have this drive toward what you were created to do. Our experiences often overrule that natural desire to go towards our created purpose, right? That predetermined destination. Okay. Pain is a occurrence in every one of our lives that can overrule that innate desire to push forward, right? Some people are fueled by pain and others are stopped by it. Some people spend so much time trying to measure their pain instead of processing the pain, right? You try to measure that pain against what you feel you deserve, right? You try to measure it against how someone else experienced. Pain is a consequence of living in an imperfect temporal world. You can only feel it. You cannot measure pain. You can only feel pain. So don't waste time trying to measure, oh, I don't deserve to feel this. I don't deserve to go through this, right? Because you cannot measure it. You can only feel it, right? Why can you only feel it? Because everyone's pain tolerance is different. And I'm not just talking about physical pain, emotional pain. Everybody else's tolerance for certain emotional pain is different. My 10 may be your 2, right? Or my 2 may kill you, right? Everyone's tolerance for pain is different. You cannot measure it, you can only feel it. But this is something that causes you to overrule your desire to push forward to succeed in the things and the purpose that you was created to do, right? So when we talk about getting there, right? Some people are stopped right after they start because something overruled their ability to continue. What has become louder than your natural drive to succeed? It is not natural for you to fail at what you were created to do. Okay. You are literally going against the divine order. Okay. It is not natural to fail at what you were created for. Right. Your innate desire, the way you were designed, is intentional to drive you towards your purpose. Everything else tries to pull you away. Okay, so there are different important stages I want to discuss in this process of getting there. Okay. And remember, there is just that fixed position that you're supposed to be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, right? It's a fixed position that you're supposed to be. This is your there. Okay. So, number one, just starting, right? This is one of the stages in the process of getting there. You might be just starting, right? You've recognized the path that is destined for you and you've said yes, right? At every place you are destined to go, you've said yes to heading in that direction, right? This is when you're just starting, okay? This means you must first agree that you have a destination. Some of us have not even agreed that we're destined to be somewhere. Some of us don't even feel that we have a destiny. You can't start if you don't even agree that there is a destination, there is a there for you, right? You must first agree that you have a destination. If you just going and you don't have any direction, you haven't started yet. If you're just going and going and going, you kind of get in that hamster wheel, right? You're just going, but you have no direction. You have not officially started. Okay. Some people have stopped here. Some people have recognized that they have a destiny. They know what it is. They've said yes and began to head in that direction. And that's all they did. They stopped. They just said yes. They just accepted that they have a destiny. And then they stopped, right? And remember, you can be at any one of these stages in any area of your life. So I'm talking mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, right? You may be moving forward physically, right, in your career. You may be moving forward spiritually, but emotionally, you haven't even started yet, right? So the second one, halfway there. And these are just the four I want to talk about, okay? The second one, halfway there. So the first one was just starting, right? You've accepted that there is a destiny for your life and you've said yes and begin to head in that direction. That's just starting. The second one, we're going to talk about halfway there. This means you have a good sense of direction, right? Foundation, momentum. Okay. If you've gotten halfway, you had some foundation set, right? You have some momentum going, right? And you have a sense of direction, okay? And some people have stopped there. But to get halfway there, that means you've gone through some opposition and but you've still stayed on the path, right? Some people have remained stuck at halfway there. Okay. You may be halfway done with a certain project. You may be halfway done raising your children. Okay. You may be halfway through your marriage, halfway through a friendship, half at the halfway point in your career, the halfway point in your ministry. Halfway there means that you have a good sense of direction, foundation, and momentum. And you've stayed on that path in spite of any oppositions, but then you stopped halfway. Okay. The third one, almost there. Almost there is when you can see the place, right? You can hear the applause. You may have stumbled a few times, but this is the place that perseverance and faith will push you to, right? Almost there. You can see it, you can hear it, you can smell it, right? You may be weary when you get to almost there because of what you've endured to get this far. And some people stop there. They can see it. They know how to obtain it and they stop because they have become weary of all of the trials and the tribulations they've had to go through to get to that point. And I want you to recognize which one of these places you are in the different areas of your life. Which one of these places are you financially? Which one of these places are you physically, spiritually? Which one of these places are you emotionally? Are you just starting? Are you halfway there? Are you almost there? Right? And the fourth one I want to talk about is always there, right? Always where you should be. Is there any area of your life where you're always there? Okay. When you're always there, you've gotten over yourself, right? You've processed all of the things you needed to process in your life. You've submitted to the plan, to the destination. You've submitted to that wholeheartedly, right? You've allowed any pain to propel you, right? You haven't allowed your fears or your past failures to make you become them, right? You do what it takes to keep all parts of you whole. That is when you are always there. You're always where you're supposed to be. Okay. So once you get past starting, look how far you've come, right? You look how far you've come, but you don't get comfortable there. When you get comfortable with looking back, you'll start going back, right? But I want you to look at how far you've come. Those who have started and maybe you're halfway there. Look at how far you've come. I only want you to look back at how far you've come to encourage yourself to continue, right? Not to put your feet up and get a snack and get comfortable, right? Because if you stay too comfortable with looking back, you'll start going back. So you only want to look back to encourage yourself to continue the forward movement, right? When you get halfway there, when you're halfway to your destination or operating in your purpose and your destiny, you might want to rewrite or restate your goals, right? Make them more specific or more tailored to where you are right now. Okay, when looking at your goals and you realize there are some you still haven't started, start them, right? Say yes. Say, okay, I recognize this is a part of my destiny. I receive it, and now I move forward, right? With direction. And I don't want you to procrastinate just because you're halfway through other goals, right? You might be halfway through with your physical goals. That don't mean you procrastinate on your spiritual goals. That don't mean you procrastinate on your mental goals, right? Sometimes the things that you experience, the changes in certain relationships, the changes with your career, causes you to detour or to take another route so that you don't stop, right? You don't stop most of the time when we're in traffic and there's an accident or there's something happens, we stop. But a lot of people, what we should do is just find another way, right? There should be another way for you to continue to operate in your purpose, to head towards your destiny without you completely stopping, regardless of what roadblocks, regardless of what hurdles may come up before you, right? You may need to factor in these arrangements into your mental map, right? Because it could slightly change your direction, okay? So you might have to create new goals because of specific events that happen unexpectedly, right? So you might have to have a short-term goal because of that particular event that happened, right? You might have to rearrange some things because you have to exit some friendships, right? You can end toxic relationships without stopping your progress, right? Things happen, unexpected things happen. It doesn't have to stop your progress. It doesn't have to stop your forward movement, right? You can go through an event in your life without derailing your purpose, right? So a lot of times you hear things like, oh, this happened. That's why I'm not doing this, right? It doesn't have to derail your purpose. You can go through mood changes, right? Your feelings can change without you sabotaging your destiny, right? And a lot of times we get in our feelings and we sabotage our destiny ourselves. Keep the end in mind. Not only where you are now, you always want to look at, okay, if I make this move, if I say this, or if I do this, how is this going to affect me after I stop feeling this way? Because you will stop feeling that way, right? You don't, feelings are temporary. You don't feel that way forever unless you constantly bringing that upon yourself, right? Unless you're constantly reliving memories, unless you haven't processed those things. But things you have processed, your feelings about it, they're fleeting, right? So always think about before you say something or before you do something. When I'm out of this feeling, How will this have affected my life? Right? See the bigger picture. See the whole picture with the end in mind, right? Where you're trying to go. Okay? Oftentimes um we act in a certain way when we act rashly, right? We're not seeing the big picture. We're not seeing what's going to happen after I stop feeling angry. So that's why you say whatever you want to say. That's why you do whatever you want to do, right? Because you're not thinking about what happened when this feeling leaves. Am I going to be ashamed? Am I going to have hurt someone physically, mentally, emotionally after I finish getting all of this off my chest, right? You have to think about that. So when you fail to see the bigger picture, you start to create problems for yourself. When your sight or your perspective becomes blurred or influenced negatively, you create the barriers that block your forward movement to get there, right? You are not a victim in the problems that you've created. You are not a victim in the problems that you created. You are a recipient of your own consequences. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. You're not a victim when you've created the problems. Okay. So you have to stop gaslighting people into feeling sorry for you. Okay. You can repent and make things right, but you're so busy manipulating and controlling people to keep them doing whatever you ask, right? Because you're keeping up this victim mentality. There are really true victims of things that has happened to people, right? With things they had no control over. Okay. But some people will use their circumstance that they cause to cause people to feel sorry for them so that they keep you out of your purpose, right? That period of playing victim to the problems that you created, that's you going in circles, right? It may appear that you're getting closer, but you find out after 2 or 3 years that you're right back where you were. And so think about a circle. If you think about a circle and you put a dot in it, right? Now you can move in any direction from that dot, right? And it appears you're going somewhere, but you're never getting out of that circle. So you're not actually going out of the circle. It looks like you're going forward. You're not going out of the circle, which is your destination is here. You're staying right here, but it looks like you're going somewhere, right? But you're only moving forward in a circle in the same cycles, never achieving any purposeful movement. There's no movement towards your purpose. Okay. And so let's talk about when you're almost there. You may be one decision away from finally being there. That's when you're almost there, that's where you are. It could just be one decision away from being there, from operating in your purpose, right? If you get to this point, if you're almost there in any area of your life, if you're almost there emotionally, where you're really good at managing your emotions, you learn how to process things correctly. You could be almost there spiritually, where you feel like, okay, I got to grasp this thing. You could be almost there financially, right? You could be one decision away from finally being there where you're supposed to be, right? When you get to that point, do not fall for the fears and insecurities that you already worked out when you first got started. Definitely don't accept any new ones. Don't accept any new fears or new insecurities that come with you being in a new environment, that come with you being around new people, right? And some of you might be here right now. You might be almost there, right? You can see the place that you're supposed to be now. You have the vision in view, right? It's almost complete. But your fear of the unknown, your fear of success, yes, people have a fear of success, right? Your fear of what else you might have to give up or change because you've had to change so much already, right? Stops you when you are almost there. Your lack of security in the place you are, even as close as you are to being there, can halt your progress. Okay. Insecurities are never mute, right? Whether they whisper to you or they yell to you, they're always speaking through what we do, how we see, and what we believe. Insecurities are always speaking through what we do, how we see, our perspective, and what we believe. Okay. So we must come to the place we should be. Okay. It's there, right? There is the place that you're supposed to be. Wherever your there is, it's where you should be. It's not somebody else's there, right? It's where you're supposed to be. Okay. So, how many times what someone told you has driven you away from where you were supposed to be? How many times? And commercials do it all the time, right? They drive you to buy certain products, right? They drive you to watch certain movies, they drive you to take certain medications. That's why we have to check our influences so that negative influence doesn't drive us away from our there. Okay. So comparison drives us away from there. We think, okay, well, I should be at this person's there, right? No, you're supposed to be at your there. Okay, the fixed place for you, for your destiny, for your purpose, right? Even if your purposes are similar, that person's there is still not your there. Okay, I want you to understand that. Rejection drives us away from there, right? Sometimes it's not even other people, it's you self-sabotaging yourself, right? It's you driving you away from there, right? Speaking death over yourself. It's you speaking that. It's you um driving yourself away from your destiny. Okay? And so when people have done all they could to discourage and dismantle their own destiny, right? They begin to dismantle the destiny of others, right? So you don't know how many times what you are saying may be driving someone away from there, away from their destiny, right? How many opinions are living in your mind, driving you away from there? How many fears do you have that's driving you away from there, right? How many times what someone has said been repeated in your mind? How many times are you repeating what someone said in your mind and it's driving you away from there? How many times what you said is being repeated in someone else's mind and it's driving them away from there, right? So don't dismantle other people's purposes and stop letting other people dismantle yours. Okay. Get out of the repetitive cycles mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. You've been at that place before. And some of you multiple times. You're in a bunch of different circles in different areas of your life and you're not moving forward purposely, right? You're not moving forward in purpose. Okay. We don't even recognize or pay attention to how many highs and lows that we've had in the same place year after year. Okay. And that's why you have to get out of emotionalism because it affects you spiritually as well. You get high off of a motivational preaching, right? But your life is still stuck in the same cycle. You're still at just started. You haven't progressed to halfway there. Why hasn't it changed? Why do you have yet to get there, right? Your predestined purpose, the place that you were destined to be, the place that you're supposed to be physically, the place that you're supposed to be mentally, spiritually, financially. Are you there yet? Have you started? Right? Agree to the destination. Okay? Agree with God on your destination, on the destiny that He's already prepared for you. Get started. Keep going. right? When you get halfway there, take a look back so that you can see how far you come. Some of you think you're just started, but you're already halfway there. Look at how far you've come. And some of you may be almost there. You can see the end, right? You can see the vision coming to pass, but you still think you just started. And because you think you just started, it keeps you from moving forward because you don't realize how far you've come, right? But the place that we want to be is always there. We want to always be operating in our purpose, right? We want to always be driven towards what we were created to do. That's in every area of our life. So, are you there yet? Have you just started? Are you halfway there? Are you almost there? Are you always there? Right? Just because you're almost there in one area, don't forget to start in the other areas. Do you all understand what it means to be there? That is where you are fully operating in your purpose. You're always where you should be. And that's mentally, you're where you should be financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Are you there? And don't get discouraged if you're not there yet, right? Keep going. If you have to rearrange some things, you might have to detour, you might have to go around, right? But keep moving forward. And some people may not even realize that, like I said, that there is a destination, right? There is a created place, a created purpose for you. And to go against it is going against the divine order of things, right? And what happens when we oppose God? Any opposition to God is met with a curse, right? Things are not going to go right. And so when you are a child of God and things are not going right, it may be something you're not agreeing with God on. And it's all kinds of fears that opens the door to cause us to get out of alignment, that cause us to go in the wrong direction, right? Always have the end in mind. What is your purpose? And you walk towards your purpose. You may not always run, right? You may not be running from halfway there to almost there, but keep going towards there, right? One step, if it's a crawl, sometimes you might have to crawl to get from almost there to always there, right? But keep going. Keep the end in mind. See the bigger picture. Don't just see your circumstance, and definitely don't continue to operate off your feelings. We have to learn how to separate our direction and the movement that we have from how we feel. You don't stop. You can still feel and go, right? You can still feel and operate in your purpose. You don't have to stop. You don't have to sabotage yourself, right? You don't have to start dismantling other people's purposes because you're confused about yours, right? Speak life into other people. If you're at a place that you've stopped, don't try to dismantle the purpose of other people because you're stopped, because you've decided to speak death over your purpose and your destiny. If you realize that you've done that, please refrain from pulling other people down, right? And dragging them down with you. And if you have been playing the victim and the problems that you've created and gaslighting people, please stop. People are compassionate and caring. And if you tell them, hey, I got this going on and I got that going on, but it's your problem, right? But you're saying this so that they feel sorry for you. You're not telling them that, hey, I did this, I took a detour and I took a detour the other way. Because you don't want them to tell you the truth. You don't want them to tell you how to get back on the path that you should be, because it might take a little work, right? But admit these things to yourself, okay? Admit them so that you can get back going the direction that you are supposed to go, so you can begin to operate in your purpose. Because if you're not, you're just going in a circle. And some people's circles are 10 years wide. Every 10 years It looks like they've gone forward for 10 years and then they find themselves back at the same place, right? They've just gone in a circle, right? So shorten that time. If you do have to go in a circle, let it be 2 days, right? But get the memo and start moving forward. And so that's a strange thing, I think, spiritually, because spiritually we're in this place of entertainment, I think, where we're being entertained, like our spirit is not being fed. We're being entertained and we feel good, right? And then our life still isn't changing. That's why I say you can't go by your feelings. Go by the forward movement. Ask yourself, am I there yet? Right? If I've been in this place for 10 years and I'm still not there, maybe I'm in the wrong place. If you are almost there, do not let your weariness cause you to back up. If you're almost there, that means you have direction, you have momentum, right? You have focus, okay? You have a good foundation. Don't tear it down, right? You will be weary from all of the push you had to get to almost there. Don't quit. Don't go pick up all that old stuff that you had when you just started. And that's a trick, is to make you remember, not that you're actually going through it or dealing with it, but to make you remember it so that you start getting comfortable looking back and remember whatever direction you're looking. If you stay looking that direction for so long, you'll start going that direction. And I use the example of how when you're driving and you looking to the left, if you're looking to the left and you can glance, but if you keep looking to the left, that car is going to go left, right? And so think about that. You want to look at how far you've come to encourage yourself, but you don't want to look at how far you've come to get comfortable back there, right? Especially if you're almost there. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Don't pick up those old habits again. So when we say God took too long, did Abraham take too long to get to where he was supposed to get? Right? And that means mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, right? But also there's an aspect of the faith needed to be proven. God's power needed to be proven, right? So had Abraham had a kid at 30, how does that glorify God? How does that prove the power of God? So some parts had to be dead, right, in order to prove the power of God in their bodies, in Abraham and Sarah's bodies, right? And so I don't believe that God takes too long. I believe that we have to come to the place that we're supposed to be. Now, and to do that, you have to agree with the destination. So Mary agreed with her destiny, right? She agreed that she would conceive a child. So she was available and she was in the place she was supposed to be to conceive baby Jesus, right? Through the Holy Spirit. Now, I don't believe if she wasn't there spiritually, I don't think it would have happened, right? But she was at the place mentally, she was at the place spiritually, physically, and she had already said yes. And so a lot of times, sometimes I think we may get to a place, but we're not ready mentally. So it's not necessarily that it's God, it's, that's where fasting and prayer kind of come in. We got to get prepared mentally. We got to get prepared physically. Sometimes we're prepared mentally and spiritually, but we're in the wrong city, right? So you got to get to the right city for the destiny to show up, because that's where the destiny is, right? And so sometimes it takes us a minute to get it because everything else is trying to drive us away from purpose, right? And so we have to go back to that desire within that is not influenced by anything outside so that we can be driven towards our created purpose. And so even the place where God shows up, right? There's still a place we should be to meet him where he shows up, right? If we're not there, if we're late, right? That's where obedience come in. If we're late to that place, if he already designed something for us, and so we should have gotten to a certain place spiritually, right? But we kind of take our time because I don't want to do this, or I don't feel like doing that, or this made me look bad, or all the different things that go along that affect us being obedient, because slow obedience is still disobedience. um that affects us being at the place where God meets us to do the thing that he says he would do. And some people never get to that place where the prophecy is fulfilled, and they say, oh well, that prophet lied or something. No, you never got to the place you were supposed to be, because God is not going to change the appointment, right? You have to get there, because that's where he orchestrated everything to be before we were in our mother's womb. And so if he's already made the plans, and we're the ones that kind of create the detours, humans in themselves create the detours and the hurdles. Like, even if it's not you creating that, maybe your mom did, or your dad did, or your great whoever did, right? You were supposed to be um born in this place, but you were born in a different country, right? So it's gonna take you a while to get to the place that you're supposed to be. And so God has set appointed times and appointed seasons for everything, and we're the ones, because he's already finished, we're the ones that have to get to those places and in those times prepared, right? Mentally, physically. And he sends people to help prepare us, right? Make sure you get there wherever your there is. Don't let comparison and rejection drive you away from that place. Don't let opinions drive you away from that place. Don't dismantle your own destiny. Don't dismantle anybody else's, right? So I pray you all have a blessed and prosperous weekend. God bless.